Hello, everyone. Welcome in on a Tuesday night here at the Voice of College Football, Huskers TBR. Appreciate everybody here in the live chat. Sorry that we're a couple minutes late. Greg will be online hopefully here in just a second. I thought I would start the live stream without him and go through your comments and questions, and as many as that I can get to before Greg jumps online. We've done this 59 consecutive weeks. We hope that you guys will continue to be here, but also bring some other folks in with you. We need to build the show as large as possible. I think you understand that it's all part of building a business as well. For as much as we love to talk football, if we can't pay the bills, then we can't pay the bills. So we need to continue to grow the audience. The Super Chat's available to you. Also Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Just search Mark Rogers TV right there. Okay, let's get to the comments in the live chat. I did not see anything in particular dealing with Nebraska football that's making headlines. Of course, Greg's going to have some insight into spring football. But one thing in particular was, as released by Husker Athletics, Nebraska releases its Memorial Stadium survey results. Got to say, I don't know exactly what that's all about, but here's the man himself. There he is. Greg, what's going on tonight?
Hey, how you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well, doing well. How you been?
Oh, trying to get by.
Yeah,
still nursing a bad back, so yeah.
Is it any better?
It is better. The last couple of days, I just chiropractors really helped me out. Been in last 2 days here in a row, and yeah, getting a little better. I hope. It's hit or miss, though. Feel better one day, and then it's all of a sudden horrific again. So, sorry I'm late, by the way.
Oh, no. Don't worry about that. I was the one that was late, everyone. Blame me. I was the one that was late. Greg was just later because I sent the link late. So I got it all started late. We went on with our Iowa show a little lengthy tonight. Moonbot's here, though. The Anti-Bot to Beast mode in 31 days and 18 hours. 31 days and 18 hours. What's that? The spring game, I guess.
Yeah, April 1st is the spring game. Yeah, it's coming up. That's for sure. Huskers got 2 more practices here, and they got spring break already. So it's kind of crazy to think that we're moving that quickly right now.
Folks, leave your comments and questions. I'll get them to Greg, and of course, I will answer what applies to me. In the meantime, what's hit you so far here in the last week?
Good question. I wish I could tell you. We haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we haven't got a chance to even see anything. We talked with defensive coordinator Eric Shenander and defensive backs coach Travis Fisher yesterday, and got 2 players as well. Chris Kolarvik, linebacker / DB now, and Marquise Buford Jr. So that's about all we know is what they told us about the first 4 practices so far. They're kind of keeping things close to the vest right now, unfortunately, for the media here. So, any kind of question? I mean, the biggest question is that everybody wants to see the quarterbacks, and so all the reporters there yesterday were having to ask all the defensive guys what the quarterbacks looked like so far. So, kind of a strange situation for us around here right now, but hopefully. Coming up here, we'll get a chance to actually see with our own eyes what's going on.
For sure about that. There was an article that was released by Husker Athletics about the Nebraska Memorial Stadium survey results. Did you get a chance to see what those results were and what they mean?
I didn't really pay much attention to the results. I didn't look at the actual ones, but there's going to be some changes there. It's going to make, just a much more fan-friendly experience. Not everything's not going to happen at once, but it's going to make the stadium a lot. It's going to make that game day experience a lot better if you're going to be there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sales of beers is the biggest issue, and the best news that anybody that likes to come to Memorial Stadium on Saturdays during the season is that they were allowed this past weekend. Nebraska hosted the Big Ten wrestling tournament at Pinnacle Bank Arena here in downtown Lincoln, and for the first time ever, they allowed alcohol sales. For a Big Ten event. So that's kind of opening the door. And I mean, people that are from around here or keep up with things. That Nebraska's a pretty conservative state, and this has been a big issue for a long time. And things are starting to kind of turn around. And I mean, there's obvious reasons why. I mean, financially, obviously. But the thing is, it's kind of a little different. It's a two-edged sword there. When I'm talking about that wrestling tournament this past weekend, that was at Pinnacle Bank Arena, which is not on campus. It's a privately owned a building. So, Nebraska doesn't get anything out of alcohol sales out of that at all. But on the other side, in Memorial Stadium, that is on campus. So, they would reap all the benefits of that. And, that's always been the biggest issue is, serving alcohol on campus buildings. And there's another building on campus, a big venue that draws a lot of people too, which is Bob Devaney Sports Center, which hosts, Nebraska volleyball, which is a pretty big deal and sells out just like the football team does. And if you can pass that and start allowing alcohol sales at games, I think that just makes that much more better, especially if you want to keep the sellout streak going along. Because in this day of age that everybody knows that you can just kick back at home and watch several games at one time and enjoy whatever is your favorite game day treat. It costs a lot of money to go to games. Just that's a fact. So yeah, you've got to make things better, and then another one is going to be they're going to start chopping some of the seats down, and the big issue as well is you've got to put seat backs in because if you go there as a fan and go watch a game, you got to sit on those planks, and you're shoulder to shoulder with the next person. It's not pleasant. You have to be a real fan to enjoy it right now. And Trev Alberts knows all this, and he's leading the charge, and he knows what it's going to take, and they're on the right path. And I mean, when you ask me about practice, I think maybe the biggest thing that I took away from yesterday was getting a chance to go see what the progress right now in the construction of all the new facilities, because I hadn't seen it from that perspective in a couple of months, and there's been a lot of progress made here, and it's looking good. Even when it's like a mud pit out there, they're still working out there, and when there's cranes up in the skyline of downtown Lincoln, it's a good thing for the economy. So everything's looking up right now. I just wish we could see a little bit of what's going on the field.
For sure, because we want to hear about it. I got to think that there are some video clips out there, though, right?
Well, that's the funny thing is they haven't let us out there, but they sent out a meld to the media last night. I have not used it myself yet. I'll be using it tomorrow, so teaser there for all of you that like to watch our Husker Online videos and all that. We'll have that out tomorrow with a big practice report from the whole week, and that's all we're going to get. Spring break next week, they're off. So they'll come back, and Eric Shenander did tell us, though, that they will be scrimmaging on Friday. No media access, and we won't hear from them for a whole week after that. So It's a real strange position to be in if you've been covering Nebraska football in the media for a long time. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what it's all about. Um, it's hard to say right now. You can you can make your own conclusions about why they're not letting us in. And let me say too that we've always been spoiled here at Nebraska. I mean, if there's people there that are used to other teams and stuff watching, I mean, we've been spoiled a lot here. We get a lot more coverage than a lot of other big time programs media has ever a chance to get to see. So, yeah, that's why it's such a strange thing to me right now.
Dewey would like to see you get an interview with Jacques Yant and post that. That's his request.
Okay. Dewey, we will do that. I know Moonbot probably backing you up right now. Beating him to typing. I'm sure he's typing that up right now as well. But yeah, we'll get on that. And if they don't provide him to the media, we'll go out and get him. We've got that kind of clout now, and he might make a nice little payday when we do get him on camera. So that's the nice thing about NIL right now, that they don't have to. They can get paid for doing this stuff now.
Yeah, and we've got somebody in the chat. I lost track of who exactly it is that wants to know who's going to be the starting center.
That's one of those big questions right now. I think they're going to be looking around at a lot of guys. With Donnie Raiola here now, things have really changed, and that might be a reason why we haven't got to see what's going on yet right now. But there's got to be some shuffling around going on the line, and I wouldn't be surprised at all that Turner Corcoran might turn in to be that starting center. It sounds kind of crazy, but there's a lot of guys there that have a lot of different skill sets, and they're gonna utilize guys to their best potential. So I'm kind of looking at that switch right there. That on opening day there in Ireland, he might be your starting center. And that was a Rivals 100 offensive tackle coming out of high school that played in the U.S. Army All-American game, and he's been a starter here and has had some ups and downs, but he's got a really great skill set to be able to move all the way across that line, that versatility. And I think they're going to try to utilize everybody at their best skill set coming up here. And like I said, again, can't wait to see what it looks like.
So Greg, if you could pinpoint one position group and you knew that if I could guarantee you that since you were going to peg that one group as being the most important group, that group would improve for sure this season, would the offensive line be the group that you think most needs to improve?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's where it all starts and finishes. You can talk to any coach at any level, and if you don't win in the trenches, you're not going to have a chance. I don't care what kind of talented guys you have there at the skill positions. So, we saw a lot of mistakes come out of this room, in recent years, and just not the high kind of caliber play that you're used to seeing here in the state of Nebraska. And there's a new mindset here, and that's why you're going to see, I think, guys switching positions and being utilized in different ways than you've seen them before. And I think you're going to see more of a Big Ten style than what you've been seeing under Coach Frost's staff here since they've been here. And you're going to have more of a downhill attack now, and you're going to have an offensive line that isn't all having to worry about all their different blocking assignments in the passing game, and just go after it and just beat the guy down on the other side. So I think that's what we're going to see, and I think that's the biggest position group there that needs to be improved to make everything else work.
We talk Huskers with all of you every Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock Eastern. It's 6 o'clock where it's most important, right there in the heartland. And we appreciate you jumping on in. And we usually have 100, 150 people here, but we could do much better than that. So please bring some other folks in here with you. We've got all sorts of fan bases represented. Of course, the Husker talk is most important, and that's where we want the Nebraska fans to be here with us each and every week. So consider talking to some people about getting in here on Tuesday night. And if they can't watch it live, of course, we would like to have the view after the show, but it's best to be in here. And when you can serve up some comments and questions, because we get to as many as possible. Kyle here is saying something, Greg, that I hear fans bring this up all the time about Scott Frost changing his coaching approach and being more of a CEO, and there being kind of a debate or argument as to whether he needs to be less hands-on and be more of a CEO or not. Do you have any issues with his coaching style, or has he even made some comments about how he's adjusting as he is now in his 5th season?
Yeah, no, obviously he has, and that was the whole reason why there was all this change, that he was actually forced to fire some of his best friends, and delegate those roles to other people, and that's where Mark Whipple comes in as the big hire. That's a guy that's been in charge of a lot of offenses at the college and the pro level, and so that was the first step, really, to move into that CEO role. And I mean, I think that's something that Coach Frost has now learned to embrace, and it gives him a lot of extra time to really, work hands on with a lot of other position groups that usually he wouldn't have been doing, because if people pay attention and watch like our practice video and stuff like that when we get that. Scott, Coach Frost, he's out there, at the beginning of practice, he's throwing to receivers. He's hitting the quarterback line with the quarterbacks, and he's he can still sling it. So, I think it gives him a lot more time to really observe things and have a way better overall opinion on how things are going. And then he can kind of still, put his touches on areas where he needs to. And this all stems down from Trev Alberts, because, Trev Alberts knows how this stuff works. And, Coach Frost knows that it wasn't working the way that, they set it up when he got here. And, if you're a smart football coach, and if I don't care what business you're in, if you're a smart businessman, anything, you surround yourself with the best people possible. That's the biggest key to success right there. If you build a strong team of generals around you, you're going to do pretty good.
There's obviously a number of ways to get the job done and do it successfully. Not every coach is exactly the same. It's been done dozens of different ways and done effectively and successfully in winning championships. But I got to think it only makes sense that you can't be on one total end of the spectrum. You can't be Mr. CEO that has no contact with your team, of course, and just be thinking about the big picture and the big issues and dealing it with like that, because then you're going to lose the trust of your team. You're not going to have contact with them. You're going to lose the vibe, the attitude. You're just not going to be viewed as accessible. But then obviously if you're breaking down offensive line stances every minute of the day and you're in the trenches all the time doing that, then you're not being what you need to be to understand the entire team and the scope of everything that's going on. So there's a balance to that. If you take the CEO approach, you also tend to be more of that mindset, then you got to realize, okay, that's my strength, but I got to connect with these guys. So I gotta throw them the footballs because I used to be a quarterback. I can do that. And he probably loves to do that. Man, anybody who used to be as good a quarterback as Scott Frost, probably, 20 years later, that's his outlet. That's his man, this is when I get to not stress about all the crap that I got to stress about the rest of the day, and I can just swing the football. It's fun. So,
hey, Jim Harbaugh does the same thing too. So it's cool to watch pregame when Nebraska and Michigan play.
And I'm sure it's important that by the end of each season, that every player on that roster feels like they know, okay, he's got 105 guys and he's got a zillion things to do. He can't talk to me every day for 45 minutes, but they know that there were certain times, even if they're the third string outside linebacker, they didn't get on the field except for a few special teams, that they had a few times during that season that Scott Frost came up, talked to him, how's the family, what's going on, kidded with them, had that interaction with everybody a few times at some point.
And you see that. I mean, he's still a player at heart. So it is kind of cool to see how he interacts with his team. And you talk to any player to a T, that they all believe in him. And, when he tells you something, you believe it, and you're gonna go out there and do your best for him. So, yeah, it's a really cool kind of dynamic that let's face it, a lot of programs and stuff might have a CEO type of a coach that doesn't really have that kind of relationship with guys. I mean, obviously, every coach is going to say their door is always open for you, but the reality of it all is that a college football coach doesn't get much free time. I mean, he works like a dog, and his family suffers for it, and it's amazing that some of these guys can do it as long as they have, and you really have to love to do it. I mean, it's in your blood, and you see guys that do it for a long time, and then they end up stopping doing it, and then all of a sudden they're back. Just the way it goes.
Yeah, the $5 to $8 million per year helps.
That doesn't hurt. Yeah,
it helps. But to your point, that doesn't do everything. That more money does not create time.
No.
And you gotta love it, and it's gotta be ingrained in you, and you've gotta love the grind, or you just wouldn't do it well enough to be able to get to the point where you're making $5 million a year. Number one. Number two, you hear these coaches. I think I hear it most during conference media days, whether it's the Big Ten, the SEC, on down the line, and you hear these coaches come back from what people think is their summer break. But if they, they'll hit the podium, and besides the football, a lot of reporters will ask questions about, what they did this summer and what's, some personal interest kind of stories. And you realize these coaches might have taken a long weekend right before media day started, and that was their vacation. And they probably still were texting a million times to
whomever. They're still recruiting. Recruiting never stops. I mean, if you stop recruiting, somebody's going to beat you. I mean, the competitiveness about building your team has never been greater in the college landscape now. With the way that just think 20 years ago, there weren't a lot of people out there that were recruiting fans. It wasn't a mainstream thing. You just kind of went with, hey, my team's got who they got. We didn't really know how they got here. There weren't the recruiting services out there that rank players back then, and it's become a really big deal, and it's added a heck of a lot of stress on the college head coaches now, to where now all these players that you used to be able to go out and find a diamond in the rough that nobody had ever seen before. Now there are no diamonds in the rough. I mean, everybody's got their video out there on Huddle. Coaches can watch film on a kid that he gets, a suggestion from, a high school coach. I mean, that's the way this works. The whole recruiting game. High school coaches are connected to college coaches, and they have their ear. Hey, coach, I got a guy here you really love. He'd fit in to your program. Excellent. And he said, oh yeah, okay, send me his film, or give me his name, and I'll watch his film. And it's a completely different ball game. So you've got to be working 24/7 as a head coach now. Otherwise, not everybody can be Nick Saban and dominate like that. So you got to work your tail off just to compete these days.
And it's funny with a guy like Nick Saban because his championship rings and his reputation do, like, I don't want to put a percentage on it, half the work for him, 90% of the work, whatever. But he got that good. He was that good to a certain extent before he had the rings on his fingers. So he had to be a killer recruiter before he was able to say, you know what, I got 7 national championship rings, and that's all I need to say now.
Well, yeah, and it's funny, as a guy that was based in the South, for a long time, outside of my Nebraska roots, I spent 10 years in the South and went to Alabama constantly. And every time I was on campus there at Alabama, I was like, what's really the attraction here? Facility wise, go on down the list. I kind of felt like I was spoiled coming from Nebraska because we always had, always kind of boasted of having the best of everything. And and it's like, hey, I don't get it, but, all of a sudden Alabama became a dynasty, and then you build new facilities after that as well. So, when you're bringing in money, those boosters at that university are going to open up their pocketbooks all that much more. And, the universities know that you've got to keep building bigger and better. When you have recruits come on campus to see what you got compared to what the other guys got that's also offered you a scholarship, it's like a Broadway show now. Nebraska's got they're hosting another junior day this weekend, and so they'll have a ton of kids in, and they don't spare anything. All the bells and whistles will be on. The stadium will all be lit up in red. They turn red lights on everywhere, and the big screen will be playing all kinds of Husker highlights, and they wine and dine them. Well, not the wine side of it. Gatorade and dine them. It's a really cool thing, and it's like, hey, we know these kids are being recruited by a bunch of our other competitors, and they're going to go there and see what they have to offer. And it's really become a business. It really has. And if you're not willing to put in the time, you're not going to last very long.
There you go. And we would like our Discord to last a long, long time. We started it 2 weeks ago, and there's a ton of people in the chat, and I appreciate this, that are asking about it. And so here's the deal. We started a Discord. So a Discord is a big chat room. So there's an audio chat room, or just if you just want to type and communicate that way, just like in the live stream here. So we got a Discord, and you go to Patreon. I put the link in the chat. Go to Patreon, search MarkRogersTV. I send you the link. You set up your account, which is basically just pretty much typing your name in there. And there's nothing to it. And if you have any issues, you just contact me at MarkRogersTV@gmail.com. But there shouldn't be any issues. And you get your Discord account started. And as Tim and other people have mentioned here, we've got all sorts of fan bases in there, but we need Nebraska fans. So again, I left the link in there on Patreon. All right.
I don't know if you saw Matthew's comment again about my hat being always confused with Texas Longhorn.
Oh.
Cam Jurgens came up with the beef jerky, and I don't, Nebraska's not doesn't play Texas anymore, so This is his own brand, and that's all NIL, and he took advantage of it. He started calling. One of the coaches started calling. It might have been Coach Austin back in the day. Started calling him beef jerky, and it kind of took off. And it was kind of funny because I'd seen a tweet that Cam had made that summer before last year when he started calling himself beef jerky. But he was out water skiing, and he'd put a little video out on Twitter of him. And myself being a former, pretty solid water skier, that Cam was out there skiing on 2 skis. And anybody that's a water skier knows that if you're not on a slalom ski, you're not very good. And so I tweeted back to him and made fun of him being on 2 skis. And he said, "Hey, dude, I can't even get out of the water on 1 ski because he weighs so much. He put on so much weight moving from tight end to center." But he looked pretty good at the combine last week, and he's going to be playing on Sundays here for a long time. And you can owe that all to Coach Frost. He was the one who pulled Cam aside when he came in as a freshman as a tight end and said, "Hey, man, you can make a ton of money playing at center because you're that athletic and that you have that kind of frame." And people forget that he was not just a state champion shot put and discus thrower and wrestler, but he was actually nationally ranked track and wrestling guy coming out of high school. So he has all the tools, and Scott Frost found the right spot for him, and he's going to play for a long time here in the NFL. And also, I'll just add on to that too that he grew up on a farm in Beatrice, Nebraska, and went out every morning. Woke up at the crack of dawn and went out and did farm work before he went to school, and so he's got farming in his background. So I think that has a little bit to do with the logo on the hat that I'm wearing right now as well.
Good stuff. Before we get to the next question, Moonbot says he's on Patreon. So are you on, if you're on our Patreon, Moonbot, I just need to send you a link. So I keep sending links on Patreon. You just got to access the link and you get right on to Discord, but the links expire after a few days. So I probably have to post a new one on there. So I will do that tonight.
Moonbot's probably got to be pretty happy if he's a Broncos fan here today too.
Oh man. That's right. That was a blockbuster. I believe Alan asked who you expect to leave after the spring.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. It's so hard right now. To point out. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some guys that see it on, because coaches, when you go through a spring ball, the coaches will pull you, not pull you aside, but they'll talk to you and say, "Hey, this is where you're at right now," and some guys, maybe veteran guys that have been here and they're still kind of in the same spot they've been at. Obviously, they're good. With the transfer portal, they're going to go look for brighter pastures, and just trying to pinpoint that right now is pretty crazy. I mean, I could tell you rooms that I could expect guys to leave from, but it'd be pure speculation right now, especially without having much of a chance to talk to any of the players yet. Since we're only 4 practices in as well, so I think, and obviously on the offensive side, you've got a whole brand new coaching staff too. So you've already seen some attrition already before things started. Obviously, because they come in and they meet the new coaches, and maybe things don't kind of fit the way they did with the previous coach that had recruited them to come here and stuff. So spring ball is the going to gauge a few things, and we'll definitely see some guys leave. And you know what? That's okay, because there's that magical thing called the transfer portal that Nebraska is working hard every day. And if you're going to open up scholarships, I guarantee you they're going to fill them.
Yeah, appreciate everybody being here. Stephen, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for that contribution. There's a bit of a back and forth about Logan Smothers moving on.
Well, he would probably, I mean, that's the easy one to say, hey, yeah, he'll leave. But you know what? You know, I mentioned earlier about that video meld that the university had sent to us, which, by the way, is all basically artistic stuff. I mean, there's nothing there that shows you anything. That's kind of why I haven't really even used it. But you know, the thing is that you've got to see, and what I've heard too is all these quarterbacks, and this is coming from the defensive side of the ball, is that, you know, they've all got different skill sets. And, you know, they just kind of got to know who's in there because, you know, I've heard, okay, Casey Thompson, and we know this, that, you know, he's the passing guy. You know, Chubba Purdy's a really good running quarterback and a good passing quarterback. Logan Smothers is the running guy. Heinrich Harburg's got a cannon and knocks guys over when they're catching some of his slants and stuff. So defense just has to kind of be aware of who they're going up against. And then when you ask Coach Shenander about what, you know, he's seen from the quarterbacks, is that you know, he gives the same kind of a report that they all look pretty good. But you know, he's got a lot of other things he's worrying about while practice is going on. So yeah, I mean, I think that if things kind of go the way most people think, that, you know, it's going to be Casey Thompson as a starter, and then Chubba Purdy as like your number 2 guy. I think Logan Smothers probably does look elsewhere. But like I said, that's the easy call on that question.
Moonbot says, what do you think of the no special teams, no play policy? So I'm guessing that they're playing starters on special teams. Is that the deal?
Yeah, everybody, they've always, you know, I mean, you always want to have your best players on special teams, obviously. But you know, special teams has always been a position where you get young guys in there to get some playing time and, you know, keep them involved in the game and stuff like that. And that's kind of the way that they've operated. But you know what, Bill Bush coming and being, you know, not coming in. I mean, he was already here, but now being the special teams coordinator and has been around a lot of football and a lot of success. He's a wealth of information when you're talking to him, and you know, he's gonna get the best guys out there possible, and you know, it's a competition, and not just the special teams. I'll tell you right now, and all the coaches will tell you right now, it's a competition. And this is coming from the DB room, especially coming from, you know, Travis Fisher is the DB coach, that all those DBs know it doesn't matter if you're labeled the number 1 guy or number 2. It's up for grabs every single day. And that's pretty much the way it is across the whole defense and the whole offense. I mean, every single room right now, it is a big time competition. And if you don't perform, they're going to put somebody else in there right now, and they're going to weed it out and see who they got who wants to play. And I think that's the way it's got to be. And you got to have guys on your roster that love that. They love the competition, and they're not scared of the competition. So those, you know, after spring ball here, those are the guys that you're going to see that put their names in for transfer, that scare away from that competition.
Good stuff. Greg's knocking it out tonight here on Huskers Live, and 59 consecutive times out of Greg. So we hope everyone here appreciates that. You can leave, contribution there at Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App as well. Just search Mark Rogers TV and let us know that it's for the Nebraska show. And the live chat right here as well. You can super chat it just like our guy did earlier. Stephen, thank you for that.
Give him a thumbs up for Alan.
Moonbot looking for the Huskers helmet. Nope, never showed up.
Wow.
Old guy that sent me 4. Eric.
I think your mailman was probably a closet Husker fan, and the box opened and he saw it and he took it home himself.
Yeah, could be. I'm sure that's happened before.
Yeah. Well, those Husker fans are all over, Mark. You got to be careful.
All right, folks. The first Big Ten tournament basketball game's got to be scheduled at this point, and the Huskers are on a little bit of a roll, aren't they?
How about that? Huh? We were talking last week. They were on that big 1-game winning streak when they were taking on Ohio State a week ago tonight, and ended up with the victory there, and then followed it up on an incredible win Sunday at Wisconsin to get their first top 25 win under Coach Hoiberg against Ohio State, and then get their first top 10 win on Sunday. So, and especially in a crazy, horrible, don't even get me into the officiating. If Husker fans were watching that, they know what I'm talking about. It was pretty bad. But they prevailed under tremendous odds. Without Bryce McGowan's, the freshman of the year in the conference, didn't even play. And his brother Trey got ejected from the game on a flagrant 2 that was ridiculous. And Alonzo Verge also ended up fouling out. So their top 3 players, and they still ended up winning. Crazy.
If there is a big-time sport where it is most important to be hot at the right time at the end of the season,
that would be that.
Basketball is the sport.
Yep.
Those games in March go by so quickly.
Yep. So they play Northwestern tomorrow night. So we'll see. Maybe they can finally break through under Coach Hoiberg here in the Big Ten tourney and get a win, and make things a little bit more positive going into next season. They have lost. They've gotten beat twice by Northwestern on the year. So, which you'd probably say that about with most of the league.
Stephen is asking about, and I saw this online as well. I didn't know what it was all about, but the player reunion.
I saw an email that they're trying to get a lot of former players to get together for an event, which really isn't really hard to do because a lot of former players still live around this area, either Lincoln or Omaha area anyway. And those that do live out of state don't have a lot of problems getting back here. So I don't know. I'd have to look more into the details on that. Just wasn't a real big priority for myself here lately. But yeah, I'll get you some more information. I can tell you what next week.
We talk Huskers all the time, or college football, whoever team that you want to discuss, right there on Discord. So go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV, sign up. I get you the link, and we're in there 24/7, 365. I jump in there at least once a day, check out the conversations, and you gotta understand. We just started, so there's not like a million people in there, but we've got 20 or 25. We should have 50 because those 50 people on Patreon automatically have a link. So we should have at least 50 in there as we started this Discord only 2 weeks ago. So you got 50 college football fans to talk with. And again, I pledge to jump in every day, see what's going on, talk to all of you on our Discord. All right, Greg, this guy's made it happen 59 consecutive weeks. So we appreciate it.
I love it. I like.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I play hurt. And, yeah, Might be late, couple minutes late every now and then, but we'll be here.
That's it right there.
I just, like I said earlier, I just can't wait to actually see something here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody else is the same way. So, yeah. And, right in front of me right here with the roster, there's 17 new faces here at spring. And that's freshmen and transfers and JUCOs. I have a list made up, a video list for my interns. So here's the guys I want to see, and I can't see them right now, Mark. That's very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a video guy. We want to get the best information out there to people, and people want to see action. They want to see the players. We can talk and talk and talk and talk, and that's great, but picture's worth 1,000 words. So a video's worth 1,000,000 words, and people want to see the players on the field and go, yeah, we've been waiting for Trey Palmer. We've been wanting to see him. There he is.
Well, at least a little bit of good news, at least tomorrow, after practice tomorrow morning, Coach Frost will be talking to us, and also Mark Whipple. So we'll get a little bit of insight on the offensive side from those guys. So those are the two scheduled coaches, and I don't know. Maybe when we get down there, maybe I'll start a pool with all the other media guys and see who the players that they're going to bring out will be. They'll probably say we'll bring out about 4 to 6 players, and they'll end up bringing out 2. That's kind of the way it goes these days. But we'll see. But at least we'll hear a little bit. I'm sure. Yeah. Obviously, Coach Frost will be. Everybody will be on him, but if they bring Mark Whipple out at the same time, it's going to be. There's going to be some elbows being thrown around, and everybody trying to get a good spot on either one of those podiums. So it'll be interesting. We'll have a full report next Tuesday.
Full report on who got the best elbows in.
Yeah. Well, nobody messes with me. You know that.
I can imagine. I wouldn't want to get in, your way. But those post-game melees can be fun.
Yeah.
This is the way it used to work when I was in on these weekly news conferences. So do you still request players and then hopefully get them? Is that how that works?
We used to be able to do that, but now that's only during the season for Mondays. They send out a list on Sunday, say, hey, send in your player request list by so and so time for Monday. Other than that, it's whoever they can talk into coming out to talk. I mean, some guys. I mean, obviously, like when there's captains named and stuff. Obviously, the upperclassmen, the seniors, the captains, they're going to speak every week. But it's up to them. So there'll be some guys that you might not even hear from all season. Like after practice, I think it's kind of a thing where they go around. I mean, there's 3 to 4 SIDs that will kind of go around the locker room or go around the practice field and say, hey, do you have time for post-practice? Some guys have class right after practice is over because they practice early morning. And like some days they lift right after practice, and players are. Those are the lifting days are the hard days for them to talk players into coming up. So I mean, because you got to remember these guys are student athletes. They have school going on as well. I mean, football is not the only thing going on in their lives that they're held accountable for. Just besides those set days and post game as well on a game, that's going to be more. They're going to go pull guys that had good games and stuff, or like I said, upperclassmen, some of the leaders and stuff like that. But it has been bizarre that big time players have clammed up on you. Randy Gregory was one that stopped talking to the media. He actually told us, he said, fuck you to us. Oops, I didn't mean it. I was going to say F you, but he did. He said that to us, and he didn't talk to us the rest of his senior year. Kenny Bill also clammed up for a long time, but then did start talking again.
Is that because they think they got burned by something they
Uh,
said, or somebody was critical and they didn't like it?
Maybe they had something against a specific writer. And let me say, this is always writers that are always the ones in trouble. It's the stuff that people write down, which pisses people off more than anything. Um, but yeah, I don't really recall what set it off. But you have to remember too that Randy Gregory was in and out of the doghouse a lot, and those problems remain with him to this day in Dallas. So I think that he just didn't want to talk to anybody anymore. Like I said, Kenny Bill kind of did the same thing too, but I'm not sure what that was all about. But he did come back around after a while, and he was always a great guy to talk to anyway. But those are just two off the top of my head that have just all of a sudden that you don't hear from them, and it's kind of weird because they're basically interviewing for a job in the first place, and if you're going to go play in the NFL, you're expected to talk to the media. If they call your name, you got to go talk to them. So yeah, some of these guys kind of just shy away from it, and I think obviously it probably hurts them when they go into the process of either combine and going through the draft process when they're interviewing with teams and stuff like that. If you're not media savvy, obviously I think there's going to be points taken off of your prospective boss. So it's strange, but like I said, a lot of times too, we're still dealing with 19, 20-year-old kids sometimes. These guys, maybe some of them are 21, 22, but everybody's got their own thing going on and their own personality, so you can't really lay blame on anybody. And that's just kind of the way it is. And to me, it's kind of fascinating to watch this year in and year out, and you can kind of tell who's got a really good chance to be successful in the future and who might not. Just to put it lightly.
Yeah, that was always funny as we would make our media selections. And again, for folks that aren't necessarily familiar, although fans are much more media savvy because of all the stuff that happens on the internet, social media, online than they used to be. But you make your request for players after a game or after for the weekly news conferences during the season. And yeah, you always had those players that you had your play. The best case scenario were when there was a superstar player who was a great talker and he was nice and he had stuff to say that was meaningful. A lot of guys will come out and they're really nice guys and they mean the best, but they tell you the same exact thing all the time. And they just basically say, we take it one day at a time and we do our best. They don't really tell you anything, but and then you got your lesser players, but they might be great talkers. They might tell you a lot, but so you get that combination, and it was, if you get a superstar player that doesn't want to talk, can't talk well, doesn't have any interest in it, then yeah.
It's also, I mean, you got the situations are also have a little bit to do with it too. I mean, like at a main press conference when you're called up in front of the podium, you can kind of tell that some guys come up there and will just step right in front of the mic and say, "Hey, everybody, how's it going?" Because they're used to it and stuff. And other guys that come up there, they just kind of stand there and they look so uncomfortable, and they have to wait for the SID to say, "Okay, start with questions for so and so." And so there's always kind of a different dynamic on some of those guys. But then if you say like it's a post game when you got several players in a hallway and it's just a few. Around Nebraska, it's never just a few reporters around. There's always herds of them. But those are kind of more one-on-one. You get a little more personable about it and stuff. And I think it's always cool too with doing my what I do when I meet a lot of these guys very early in their high school careers, and I ended up building a relationship with them, and so when they get to be a junior or a senior, I mean, I'm like one of their buddies, from high school or something, And so yeah, you can get a lot of extra info and just some good buddy time with these guys, because you do. I mean, a lot of them they feel like family after you get to know them and stuff. Especially when you're a former player yourself, and you realize what those relationships are with your teammates and your coaches. That lasts a lifetime with you, and you're brothers to the end with all of them until the day you die.
Matthew and others, you had left questions. Please bring them back next week, and we'll do it all again for a 60th time next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock Central Time. Bring some folks with you.
And that will be actually, like I said, they're scrimmaging on Friday, so hopefully we get a little bit of some nuggets out of that before they go on to spring break. So cross your fingers. And they will have 2 scrimmages before the spring game, so this will be the first one.
Matthew, if you're referring to a live stream we did a couple of weeks ago in which I said, this is what I believe the transfer rule should be, and this is what I believe the NIL rules should be, maybe that's what you're referring to. But we'll talk it up again next week, Matthew. Appreciate you being here. Everybody else here, the Voice of College Football, if you're not subscribed, please do head on over to Husker Online Video right here on YouTube for the latest with the boys hitting the hard court to try to extend a winning streak and maybe pull off a miracle this weekend. All right, Greg.
Things have happened.
It's happened before.
It has.
Appreciate it. We will see everybody next